A lot of the ones that I start people out on are very specific, very low level flywheels. And I try to get people to rank the altitude of a flywheel on a 1 to 5. Like the one that I walked through, that was a level 1 flywheel, it's the lowest altitude. The one that you're talking about is like level 5, right? That's kind of up there with the Amazon flywheel. This is where I struggle with good to great, is that I started at the top and tried to work down. And I really think the flywheels, you should start at the bottom and try to work up. And then you'll end up with different flywheels at certain stages. So I use Sahil Bloom as an example. He has a very focused flywheel that lets him write 2 newsletters every week, keeps them interesting and engaging. The goal of that flywheel is not even to grow the newsletter. It's all about quality of content and how do I get good content out twice a week up from there. Then if you move up 1 level in the altitude, then there's another flywheel that's all about growth. And that's where he's taking subscribers from social, amplifying with ConvertKit's creator network, sending out the newsletter, selling sponsorships in it, taking some revenue from sponsorships, dumping it back into growth to make the newsletter bigger, right? So the bigger the newsletter, the more partnerships he can do, the more people the newsletter goes out, the more he can sell the sponsorships for, which gives him more to reinvest. And so that one snowballs like crazy, right? An early rotation of that flywheel was like 10,000 new subscribers in a month. And now he's putting out 50,000 subscribers in a month. But then he has another flywheel above that, which is basically where he makes his money. And that's his agency flywheel. And the very high level version of that is he's going from taking his audience, figuring out what his cost centers are, what he's spending money on. And then he's creating an agency around that, promoting that agency back to his audience, and then using that money to complete the loop. The first step is he's growing his audience, really operating the creator business. Next, identifying his cost centers, starting agencies so that it's an internal cost center to profit center. Then he's hiring an operator and everything within that. Then he promotes that on social. He's got a very set way that he promotes his businesses on social. That's driving and fulfilling the clients. That generates profits, and he uses the profits to scale his creator business. And he's taken that to, I think he has 8 agencies that he's scaled up, and to a combined 10 million or so in ARR. And so it's really important to look at like those different altitudes. I consider that like a level 4 or level 5 altitude.
That's super interesting. And as you point out, like much easier to build from the bottom up, much easier to sort of, you always hear about the high level ones first in the blog posts or on Twitter or whatever.
I always think about which ones drive decision making. So sometimes the high level ones can really help, right? In the Amazon's case, people can say, okay, what is our goal? Our goal is to drive down prices to get economies of scale. Right? That's really clear to us. And so when a mid-level manager reaches a fork in the road, they can use that flywheel to answer a decision. When the creator writes out a flywheel, it's often like, produce great content to grow the audience, for new opportunities to help me produce great content. That might be true as a level 5 high altitude flywheel, but I'm like, how does that help you make a decision? And so, especially early on with the framework, then I'd go really detailed and say, all right, what's the production function? Like what needs to be, as a creator, what needs to come out of our factory every week or every month? Okay, what's a flywheel that I can make to make that easier?